AC Starlord, aka Austin, and welcome back to my channel. Now I know if you saw the video from last night or whenever you watched that video, is my reaction. It's my predictions of Black Panther. Well, this is just what Black Panther means to me, because I am excited to see Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but I'm not excited as I am. I'm not excited as I am to see Ant-Man or as I was to watch Werewolf by Night. But this is a movie that I'm looking forward to seeing, see what they do postpartum of Chadwick Boseman. Like I said in my prediction video, hopefully the celebration of his life is also in the movie great, but how they tell us the story, how the king died, how King T'Challa or the King T'Challa died in the movie. Because Chadwick Boseman died in real life, but we gotta have explain how he died in the MCU. Because he fought with the Avengers from the Infinity War and Endgame, right? So he was still there. But basically, Black Panther, what it means to me was, it meant a difference. It meant a whole completely different thing for me. Like I was introduced by, how I was introduced by these characters. These characters are all cartoon based before I got into reading comics. So, like for instance, I know this is a Black Panther video, but I'm pulling up Spider-Man. This is the new last issue of Spider-Man, but Spider-Man was also introduced to me as a cartoon at first, the early 90s cartoon. And then Black Panther showed up in some of those early 90s cartoons. Now, I only know it's Black Panther as a cartoon, show up in Spider-Man, I think, at one time, in the background, the animated series, Captain America. I also think the X-Men, even Wolverine and the X-Men, because he had a relationship with Storm. The thing is, Black Panther to me it showed a different point of view of Marvel. Marvel had some black superheroes. You have Storm, you have Black Panther, obviously, you have Bishop, you have different other black superheroes and other black superheroes that I can't name off right now in their universe. But Black Panther was the very first one that people got introduced to, like people like me, that he was a king of a place called Wakanda. And it was a made-up African place that had vibranium that also gave gave the precious metal to Captain America's father, Howard Stark, to make a shield and all that stuff and make weapons out of vibranium. And then it made Captain America's shield, obviously, Steve Rogers. And that's also part of Black Panther's history. But it really showed a person like me in the early 90s as a kid and all that stuff, a different culture, an African culture. It showed me that not every superhero has to be white, and not every superhero has to be looking like me. It can be a different color a different color superhero. Basically, it showed me a different culture. Black Panther was a different culture from me and every other kid that watched him. Now, a little black kid and a little black girl that seen Black Panther and those other cartoons from X-Men to Spider-Man to Captain America, and whether cartoons they were in the early 90s for Marvel, and even its own comic book run, they were like, okay, I have a superhero that's in Africa. It's a fake place in Africa, but at least it's in Africa. He's part of my culture, and he represents he represents me and the rest of my family and everyone, right? But for a person like me, and maybe like a person like me, an Asian person, maybe an Indian, little Indian boy, Indian girl, or a Mexican boy, a Mexican girl, or Puerto Rican, or Egyptian, either someone from like the Middle East, or like someone that's from Egypt, or or any kind of race, Japanese, you get my point. Any race that was not besides just me also learned about his culture, right? Learned about the African culture by watching Black Panther or reading his comics or all that, you know? So that's what it means to me. It means that even though Black Panther is from a different culture and he's different from what I normally see from superheroes, he's a right fit for a superhero for the Avengers. He might not understand everything that the Avengers do because he's from Wakanda and they do things differently. But when he's in the team, he fits perfectly. He fits perfectly. I mean, you have a big giant green guy. Of course, also a white guy. But when he stays the Hulk, he's big and green. You have a Russian in there. That's Black Widow. You have other people, and he fits right in. It's interesting. Even in the movies, he fits right in, even though he still doesn't know their he still doesn't know understanding and knowing their culture. Understanding, knowing that he has a different culture, but he also doesn't understand some of the American culture, some of the stuff that we do in America. But he learned to learn. He learned some of it over time. Same thing with Black Widow. She had to learn it over time. So you get my point. It's a different look on a different superhero, but it was fun. Even the very first movie, I got that. Like I said in my prediction video, I got to see people dressed in their African wear that they wear on Sunday for Sunday church, a Sunday church service, and they were there watching the movie with their nice African color garbs or wear that they wear for church, and it was cool to see that in a movie theater, an AMC movie theater. Now, the first time I saw no one wear it, but when I went to saw it with my church group, I saw people wear these things, these garbs, these cool African garbs, and then you see it on the screen, and it was kind of cool to see like they're actually representing, even though this is a fake place in Africa, they were representing real people from Africa, and they were making Wakanda feel like it's a real place. And that's what I liked about the movie. It made it feel like Wakanda was a real place, not just a fake place, And the way Chadwick Boseman played himself as a king and also played himself as a Black Panther, you didn't see Chadwick Boseman. You didn't see him playing a role before that where it was 42 about the baseball player that was 42 for the Dodgers. You saw him playing Black Panther. You saw him being a superhero. You saw him sacrifice for his home place for the vibranium. That guy was trying to steal his vibranium. You saw him sacrifice his family. You saw him saving his family and sacrificing himself for his family, for his country, and for his place that he lives in, for just to keep some guy from getting their vibranium. Also in the Avengers Endgame and Infinity War and Captain America Civil War, he also helped Captain America fight for what Captain America believes in. And also he also fought for the world for Infinity War and Endgame to save the whole world, not just Wakanda. The Infinity War, the last part was in Wakanda. But you get my point. After he learned personally also, after he learned about the culture in America, he learned that America is also a place to save and all that stuff. Same thing with like Coming to America. Coming to America, Eddie Murphy was also in a fake, he was also a king of a fake African country, part of Africa as well. But when you watch that movie, it's kind of like watching Black Panther in a way, because he came to America, Eddie Murphy's character came to America, and he didn't understand the culture, but he understood his culture, but he took time to learn his culture. I mean, it took time to learn our culture, basically. And then he brought an American girl, then the sequel, he brought the American girl to Africa, and she had to learn more about her culture, even though she knew a little bit about it, but you get my point. That was also like a good reference, an early reference to like something like that. And the reason why I referenced Coming to America, because that's what Black Panther reminded me of, kind of in a way. But Black Panther, you learned a lot about, even though it was a fake place, you learned a lot about the African culture, and you learned about more about the character. Even Stan Lee, when Stan Lee wrote it, created him, wrote him, and everything. I don't know if he understood everything about it, or he maybe went to Africa. I don't know, but when he wrote it at that time, it was time for him to. It was time for us to have a different type of superhero, a different type of look of not just a plain white Jane superhero. It was time to have something different, and that's what I liked about it. But Black Panther, to actual African Americans, actually mean a lot more to them than it does to me, probably. But that's what it represents. Like, everyone can be Wakanda forever. Like, it was not just, and even the movie theater, it was not just all African people. There was it was some African people, African Americans, some whites, white people. My friend was Mexican that was sitting right next to me. The other people from the church group some of them were white. One guy was named Austin. He was one guy named Austin. That was also my name, but he was black. He was a young black man. So there was me and him. So you can see when I talk about that, it's a little different. And we're surrounded by different other people. There was all the different people, colors in that theater, but you get my point. It was not just me that wanted to go see it. I mean, it was not just a white person like me. It was everyone that wanted to go see it. Now, this movie, the sequel is probably going to make a lot of money because they want to see how they celebrate Chadwick Boseman's life and how they portray that on screen, and also what's moving on forward, especially even for Iron Man. Iron Man is now the Iron Man character is now taken by Riri Williams, and I know Riri Williams had a problem when she came out as a comic because everyone was so used to seeing Tony Stark, not some black girl from New York, becoming Iron Man, and she took over like his title for a while because he became an AI. So that's an invincible Iron Man, but was it? It had Ironheart on it. That's why people were mad. But anyways, basically that's what Black Panther means to me. It means just a culture. It means learning a culture, kind of like culture shock, but not really. But I knew a little bit about Black Panther from the cartoons, some little bit of reading some of his comic books. I might have some comic books I still haven't read, but when that movie came out, it got me really interested in reading some of his comic books and trying to find other mediums with him in it because Chadwick Boseman played him very well, and it was great. Plus, but I was also learning about a new culture, even though it was, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Even when I was talking about Coming to America, that was also learning some stuff about, as a comedy, but also learning stuff about Africa, but not really. It was a man going to America to experience that, but you get my point. You learned a little bit about that when Eddie Murphy played that character. So, yeah. But if you're into movies like me, that's why I referenced that, because it's the closest reference to Black Panther. But if you don't see it that way and you see Black Panther as Black Panther, that's fine too. So, anyways, I'm going to sign off. This is just a video of how Black Panther means to me and all that stuff. So, if you like this, put a like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, or just put a like and subscribe. Deuces.